I'm gonna start recording. Turn on my AI companion and turn on the transcript. So we have everything. All right. Welcome everyone to week 20 of the framework for faculty and student success. Week 20 marks the new start to the new section. Um, the start to the new section of the Washington course design checklist. As you can see here in big bold letters, we are going to be focusing on assessment and feedback this from now until the end of this course, which is about 11 more hours. So today, plus another 10. Um, this I think is going to be the most useful for you all. Anybody who's watching this, because the we talked about if I open up this course design checklist, I scroll down, we started section 1 on the sense of belonging and student engagement. This was pretty nice. It gave you some, I gave everybody who went through this some good examples of what you can do to increase the sense of belonging in your class and to increase the student engagement. So I like that, what we did over the summer. The outcomes, we did a lot on this one related to alignment, aligning the outcomes. But there's not much we can do without like going through a big process to changing the outcomes. Um, Good information for sure to help map out what you do in your course so that it's transparent and clear. But as far as changing, I guess there was a lot of stuff on module level objectives, which I think that was good, and I think that's something that I hope you all got some good information from on how to do all that. But now, moving on, assessment and feedback. This is really where you can go in and take the stuff that we talk about and directly adjust or change your assignments. Um, assessments, the feedback that you give to the student when they submit their assignment or assessments. Um, so this is really some really good information. It's also the most robust, which is why we're spending the most time on it. I think it was 8 weeks for the first section, 9 for the second, and then this one is 11. 8, 10, and 11. Doesn't matter. So that's just a little bit of framing for you all. And you want to go through this checklist, I'll give you, this is linked on the first page, but um, if you want to kind of see the overview of everything that we're working on, this is it. I wish it was in a checklist form, and maybe that's something that I can whip up. Actually, I think it's something that we created already, but
That would be helpful.
yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
nice to like have something you can print and like actually check off.
Yep.
See if I have it actually. Hold on. Give me a second to search. So y'all can, read up and look at that. This is yeah, Google, look at this Google Doc. Uh, this is what we're going to be focusing on, like I said, for the last 11 weeks. No, this is just the checklist as a document. I'll have to find it. Um, yeah, I'll find it and then put it in here and I'll let y'all know where you can go get it. Because I know that we did it for people who were working on OER projects. Um, the OER rules made it so that you have to go through the checklist and make sure any OER you create uh, abides by these indicators. So anyways, we don't have a lot to do this week just because it's kind of like an intro. So I was thinking maybe we can dedicate this to having a conversation about these different things. Um, the start of this standard. So the section is assessment and feedback. So for the standard, assessments align with module level objectives and course level outcomes. We're just going to jump right into it and continue working on that alignment. We've started from, right, we talked about the CWLOs. You all have your program. It's an automatic hand up. No, not it. You have your program learning outcomes, which are set. Hold on. Put my hand out now that I don't know how to put it down. Okay, there you go. So then we got course. And we've talked a lot about that extensively, and then module, and then now we're into the assignments and the assessments. So, design or revise your assessment methods so they clearly measure the skills. I don't think this is right. I need to update this. And this should be an objective made a long time ago. Our objective this week is to talk about this standard in general. And so we'll take some time here and I'll let y'all read this. I'll put this into the chat. And then we're gonna look at these questions. I think this is gonna be the main focus here. We're gonna look at these questions and then try to answer those. And then this will also serve as your assignment for this week. So I'm gonna leave this here for y'all to read. If anyone will know how to read, I'm not gonna read it to you. I'm gonna finish eating my lunch. And then once everyone gets done reading it, then we can talk about what it says. We'll talk about Z, and then we'll get going on those questions.
Hey, can I ask a kind of, I guess, basic question?
Sure.
Um, when we develop a course and we list our outcomes, why are they limited to a certain amount? Like, who does that? Is that the state mandating that, or is that,
Per course?
yeah,
That's a good question. I'm I don't know for sure.
okay.
I would say not less is more, but it needs to be you don't want to have too many because
Right.
then it's like, well, I don't know if
It's hard to hit an all-encompassing like outcome sometimes. So I'm adding time to a course that I already teach, and I
Mhm,
was told I had to add two more outcomes to it because I doubled the amount of time the course is, right?
mhm,
So it was easy because I had several to choose from, but when I first built the course, I was told I could only have six outcomes, but I had
mhm.
more than that. So then I tried to reword it so they would fit,
Yeah, yeah,
multiple
yeah.
things would fit one. And then they were like, well, this is too complex. I'm like, okay, well, I'll make it basic. And then they go, no, it's too basic, right? Like,
Right.
so I'm just wondering, like, is that a state thing or is it just make it easier to assess? Or, like with
So
what I
I think
teach,
it's maybe not so it's not so overwhelming for the students.
well, that
Like
makes
if they
sense.
see a big list of like 20 outcomes, it's like I got to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, you were showing because you're when you develop it, you're kind of you showed that list of outcomes that was from the publisher of the book
Yep.
or of the resource that you're using. And so um yeah, I feel like it's a good question. Does anybody else have any because you I mean, I've only been here for 2 years, so I don't know the details on that kind of stuff. But like, do you like for example, Poppy, does your dean tell you that you're only allowed to have a certain amount of outcomes? Do you know where the number comes from?
Uh, no, but I mean, I continue hearing Snowy or somebody says, you shouldn't have more than seven, somewhere
Does it
between
say
three
why?
and
Do you know
seven.
why? Is it just because if you have more, then it becomes hard to manage, or is it just
I don't know, but I have a one of the texts I uses, is that the correct? One of the texts I use uh, lists in the front of it objectives, and
uh,
sometimes there's like 25,
yeah,
and it's like, really? Okay. So I,
right,
I, yeah, I mean, those I think list every single little thing, whereas my feeling is you try to condense them so you get a general gist. There might be, you learn what 2 plus 2 is, and you learn what 3 plus 3 is, yeah, and then instead of those as two separate, you combine them into,
right, like learning addition
yes.
or learning how to add two numbers to create a solution. Yeah, combining. I don't know where the number. Derek, maybe you would know because I know you work with Snowy a lot.
Derek's over there hiding.
No, he's there. He's there.
Um, I did miss like your original like you're asking like why is there a limit on the number of outcomes?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, I don't know that I have a direct like a correct direct answer, but I think it just like Snowy, you're saying like your textbook has like 20 some for a chapter or something like, and that's just like that's like a lot, right? That's so I think it's to make it like a manageable amount, right? Like the way I sort of think of it, even if you have like weekly modules and you have like you're covering one CLO per module, for us, that would limit us to 10. And you're probably not covering one CLO per week.
Right.
So I think it's just like thinking about the reality of what you can actually cover. That's not probably not like the,
I had my course had 9 and I listed them and it got kicked back to me and I was told no, it needs to be, you know, 5, 6, 7. I never heard
yeah,
7. It was like 5 or 6. So I
yeah,
went back and did that, right? And now I've added more time to the course so they go, you need more outcomes. I was like, cool, okay. Which one do I leave out?
right, right. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I don't know. I would have kicked back 9. Like, I'm gonna trust you as the instructor that you're meeting those outcomes.
Oh, I
But
am. I still do it. It just isn't in because it's
it's just not in
encompassed.
the right,
Yeah,
right.
it's all encompassed. So I just do it anyway. And what I did was I looked at what outcomes that I think industry would be most happy with,
Yeah.
and I
When
picked
I
those.
well, and I remember like before, and I think I even remember sort of Snowy saying this. She was like, you should have no more than like 2 outcomes per credit. Well, in a 5 credit lab course, which is most of what I teach, and some like I have a course that has 7 credits. If you do two per, even if you split the difference, say 1.5 outcomes, you're still ending up with like, you know, 7 to 10
Yeah.
outcomes. So, yeah,
You know
I,
what? I just remembered I was told that CTC Link didn't support it when they were trying to put it into the system.
ah,
I went back and looked at my email. I was like, oh, yeah.
interesting.
When
Is
they were,
CTC Link or Watermark?
I don't know. It could have been watermarked. I was told this system doesn't support it. They couldn't import or
Mm,
input more than, like 6. So I just picked 6 of them, you know?
hmm.
It's probably
Yeah.
watermark, whatever it is. The system, I don't know what the system would be.
Yeah, usually they use
Watermark.
watermark for the course learning outcomes, and I can see that as being true. Like maybe
Yeah.
they just, but also that seems like something that somebody set up, you know,
Right, right.
like on
Yeah,
the
that
back
kind of
end.
like I thought this was supposed to help us.
Yeah. I'll try to see if I can find information about that.
Cool. That would
Because
be
yeah,
cool.
I'm also curious about that as well.
Yeah, I literally just ran into it at the beginning of the week because I had to update a course.
Okay. Okay, so for now though, we're gonna move on and look at the introduction here. Um, y'all, I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory. It's talking about assessments, and how if you can align your assessments with your course level outcomes in your module level objectives, then it's going to be the most clear for the students who are taking your course, and um, give them a chance to practice the skills that they learned in your course. So, some of the method tools and strategies must be well thought out, carefully planned. Misalignment can negatively impact your learning and motivation, right? If you're just doing stuff just to do it, you think, oh, that this would be good here. That's why it's good to have that plan, that course map, because you say, oh, here's my here's the college-wide learning outcome. Here's my project program level outcome that matches that. My course level matches that, and then now, as long as I got my module aligned, then my assessment can like it informs what to do for your assessment. Like if they need to be able to do this thing, then I'll make an assessment that shows that they know how to do that thing, right? So here's an example. This is a story about Z. I don't know if y'all got a chance to read this, but Z has taken an online introduction to interior design class. Isn't that what you teach, Poppy? Intro to interior design? No,
I teach architecture,
you teach architecture, rather.
not interior design.
Little bit different, but
We're
here
on the same
you know who we need is Jaya. Where's Jaya at? Jaya hasn't been here in a
level.
while.
Jaya is.
Jaya
Rosh
and
actually
Julie.
can teach both. She has both interior design and architecture.
Yeah, Rosh is cool like that. The okay, so this one's talking about the syllabus says, here we go. So let's imagine that you have a student in your class named Z, and that student is reading the new simple syllabus that's on your Canvas page. Canvas course. Students successfully completing the course will use the fundamentals of interior design to examine interior design problems. Seems not very specific, but we'll see. For the final project, Z has to solve an interior design problem by creating a professional color board showing all of the materials and finishes of the room. Okay, so the way that this is marked out, 3.1, 3.1.A. Here's 3.1, and then this is A. Assessments align with module objectives, course level outcome we're talking about. For the module on color, the class read about color schemes, took a multiple choice quiz, practiced using their color wheels, and identified different color schemes shown in various images. So here, these look like the fundamentals, right? Fundamentals of color, which is important for when you're doing interior design. The color quiz was good for practicing the vocab. The hands-on practice with the color wheel was fun. And the color lecture had some interesting information, but Z has no idea how to create a real color board using paint samples, fabrics, and flooring. The instructor hasn't included any explanation of how the project will help the class understand the basics of color schemes, and Z doesn't understand why the instructor would ask the class to do something so advanced in an introductory course. So I think this is a classic case of the teacher knows, the instructor is the subject matter expert, um, thinking about is what your introductory students are capable of doing. So this, according to this, looking too advanced for the level that Z is at currently. Z is also having a hard time understanding how a vocabulary quiz and identifying color schemes will be of use in constructing a color board. It's nearing the end of the term and Z is getting nervous about the final project and starting to feel overwhelmed, but doesn't want to bother the instructor by asking it, and there's no additional information about it in the course materials. So uh, B, we saw course includes clear explanation describing the relationship between assessments, module level objectives. So clear explanation here is the focus. We're going to be looking at this one next week. And then course includes an opportunity for students to explore and reflect on the relationship. So this one we started to hint at here where like this one was maybe 2 weeks ago, where opportunity for students to explore and reflect on the relationship between the module level objectives and outcomes. So how does what I'm doing in this module help me to achieve the outcome for this course? Now we're taking it down to the next level. How does the assessment lead to completing the objectives of the module? And then how does the objectives then relate to creating the outcome or completing the outcome? So that's a little background and a little story there for you to try to get it from the student perspective. And wait, oh, I think I can keep it like this. Can y'all see that? I don't want to
Yeah, is it lower, all lower, or
no.
no? Okay,
One big and two small,
gotcha.
like a name.
I actually had a student named that. That's
It's a cool name.
cool. Yeah, I was just gonna
Also a
say
letter.
that's pretty. I mean, that's cool. It's a sign. She's
Oh
very
yeah, this is
successful, by the way. She's very
how
successful.
yeah, I was gonna say how's Z doing these days?
Awesome. She graduated and kicking butt and higher end graduates and helping others, helping a lot. So it's pretty
Great,
cool.
great.
Pay it on.
There we go. All right, so assignments here. So this is the reflection. Since you all are here, I figure we can talk about it. And then, you know, maybe write it down as you're talking about it or while you're listening to other people. And then y'all can submit that here for the assignment portion of it. You might need to refresh the week 20 intro page if there's not an option for you. Yeah, you got it? Okay.
It worked for me.
All right, good. If it works for
And
Colin,
usually
then
if it works for me, it's good for everybody.
that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, good job. Okay, so um, let's look at these questions. I'm going to put them into the chat. And I think I'll give you all a little bit of time to think about it. And then we'll have some time to talk about it. So I'll give you all like 4 minutes to look at the first one. Obviously, if you finish that one, move on to the next one. And then, yeah, after 4 minutes, we'll come back and talk about it. Right, so we have our first question here. What's the purpose of each of the assessments in your course? So maybe y'all thought about one of your courses and thought about
So
your assessments. Go ahead.
as I've shown before, I state in each module, I do modules by week 1, week 2, week 3, and what we're going to do that week. And I actually list what we're going to address. Can I share my screen?
I would love that. The visual always helps.
All right. So can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay. So it tells what we're going to do. So we're going to study site orientation, placement of the structure, learn about certain environmental and physical factors, and address one of our 7 course learning outcomes, which is to apply site orientation, legal descriptions, and site plan requirements to create site plans at a minimum of 70% rate of accuracy.
Nice.
So
Very
then
specific.
it says what the reading is. So they have to read chapter 13, and then it says what my assessments are. And the one is a quiz on chapter 13, mainly just to see if they read it. And then I have them do site orientation factors and local design report and presentation. So it's where they go and pick a property and they have to see what might have influenced the person who designed that home as far as the 5 factors of site design,
Mhm.
terrain, view. I don't know. Anyway, there's 5 of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Sunlight, yeah, wind.
They talk, that's the thing that they cover in this chapter of the book.
Yep. Yep. So they're taking what those concepts they've learned and they're looking at real life examples and they're writing what they think why this house got designed this way based on the site factors.
And then they're going to present on it.
And then they're going to present.
I love that.
I do
You
this,
can't chat GPT a presentation yet.
huh?
I said you can't chat GPT a presentation. So I'm thinking like this is a good kind of assessment where they're taking what they're learned, they're adding their own ideas to it, and then they're presenting it.
Yeah. And then like here in this last week, we did floor plan symbols, graphic representations of things on the floor plan, and we incorporate industry standards. So this is one of my course learning outcome 1, and then create a CAD library course outcome 3. And then again, we read a chapter and we have that, and then they actually have to create in AutoCAD the blocks and symbols.
Cool.
So, but so I have a question.
Yeah.
The one thing I really struggle with, I like doing, but it is group assignments, which to me is a good assessment, not just of the course learning outcomes, but soft skills like working as a team and all of that other stuff. How do you have any suggestions on how one can accurately assess a group assignment? You know, because if one person doesn't do anything, then, you know, and I have them do a contract and how they're going to resolve differences and what do they do if this happens, and, you know, but
Very proactive. I love that.
it never fails that, you know, there's at least one group where at least one person doesn't really participate.
For whatever reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is a problem with the group dynamic for any sort of assignment. Derek, I saw you pop off. Did you or pop off mute? Did you have something that you wanted to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of, I mean, it sounds the contract is good. And if I'm being honest, for group projects, I I don't do like a contract, or the other thing that I'm going to mention, because like a lot of my stuff is field based, and I'll just straight up call out, or like lab based, and I'll just like walk up to them and be like, if you aren't participating, you are going to lose points. It's in the syllabus that you have to actively participate, in these activities. And I lay out that, participation in lab is 2/3 of the lab grade, so if a lab's worth 30 points, 20 of those points is actually helping with the lab, and participating with your group if they're working in a group, right? So anyway, but the other thing I know from, I think it was an AQ course, um, is you can have them like assess each other.
I do that too.
Okay.
Have a team evaluation,
Yeah.
but inevitably, they all, oh, great, they did great, great, great,
Mm,
unless they really complained. I even have them put together a list. They have to make a list because obviously some of my classes are virtual, some meet in person, some meet via Zoom or Discord or whatever. So I have them put a list together of when they did their team meetings and who all was there. And then it's always interesting to see if they all jibe, but usually they let one person do that list and then they all just share it. But so it shows that somebody may not have participated as much. It just, that's the hardest one for me, is because I really like them to do team projects, because architecture, if you're in a firm, typically you're going to be working with other people. And it's like, how do you do that? What do you got, Kelly?
Um, I give them I give them an assignment to work together. I have them choose roles, or I will assign a role, and then each role is given a part of the project that they have to do.
mm,
And if that part doesn't get turned in, that student's grade doesn't look very good. I don't make it reflect on the rest of the group, though.
That one,
mm,
I do that too. But
Hmm.
in mine, a lot of times, each part isn't necessarily a total standalone. It
Yeah.
it's you need this piece here so you can develop the budget, and you need to know this stuff, and so yeah.
The other thing that just popped in my head, Poppy, is um and it's not you won't be able to get that, you won't be able to get it reflected in that particular assignment and assessment. But my guess is, and in my experience, if a student isn't participating, whether it's in some type like a group project, or just like they're not paying attention in lecture, that's going to be reflected elsewhere, like in an exam, or something else that they have to do independently, that they can't stand on the backs of team members. But I 100% agree with you that like team and group projects are really critical, because that happens in the workplace. And if you do have someone that's not holding up their end of the bargain, and they're still, able to squeak through and get their degree, we're not really preparing them for the job. But there's some things that we can't control, right? So like, okay, yeah, you made it through, you're going to go on the job, and guess what? If you don't do your job well, eventually you end up getting fired, right?
mm.
Oh, yeah. I rotate them too. I'll talk to the groups and the people that aren't participating. I'll say rotate, and I'll put them in a group. I've done it. I've put them in a group together, and they had to sink or swim. And it's amazing how some of them turn it around. Not everybody, but I can get a few of them to turn it around because I put them together with the other people that aren't doing their job. They don't like it at first.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I laugh because it's evil genius like.
Well,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
had students get really angry with me for doing it. And I've had students at the end come to me and say, "Thank you. I needed that." You
Mm,
know? And the truth is, I tell them, I'm sure you guys tell them the same thing. You continue that behavior, you will not be successful in this industry. It will be quick for you. So let's fix it here. And that's I always tell them that. If you make a mistake, it's okay. Here. I want you to make mistakes. We're going to teach you, the best way to try to not make mistakes. Learn
mhm.
from it now so you can be successful later.
Yeah.
It's hard though. Groups are hard. I absolutely agree. It's tough.
Has anybody used the Canvas thing in Canvas on
I
grading?
One
I
group.
just I just set that up for everybody when they submitted their what was it? The professional development. It's in the professional development tracking course, and it's for the program assessment map. And there's options that you can set, uh, like you can set certain percentages for different people who submit. I haven't used it much more beyond that, Derek. I think maybe I
I think
interrupted you, but
Brady Hagerman would,
yeah.
I mean, obviously he's the Canvas guy, right?
Andy's one of my graduates. He's a great
Hey,
kid.
Is he?
Yep. Yeah.
What? I didn't know that.
He doesn't talk much, does he? Like, well, he does,
Oh,
but on different things, right?
depends on I think it depends on who he
Yeah.
knows.
He's a graduate of our program and he's awesome. Absolutely awesome kid.
I agree. Shout out to Brady Hageman.
Maybe I'll
Yeah.
set up an appointment with him on Zoom and he could go through the group thing that's in Canvas
Setting it
as far
up.
as the assessment part.
Yeah, I don't think it's that challenging, but I do think there actually no, there are some things like
Well,
little
because I
adjustments that
don't
you
know
can.
what some of them, what does it mean if I put this or what do I.
Yeah. So maybe that's right. I think setting aside. And I don't know, I was trying to see if they have group assessment, like an indicator related to that in this checklist, and I don't see it. But once we start getting into 3.3, the standard 3.3 is course includes a balanced variety of assessments. I think once we get into that part of this, then I'll make sure to add something related to group assignments. Um, I put something in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. I opened it and I'm saving it to my
Yeah, this is from
folder.
Cornell. I like this one because it has the group work assessment rubric down at the bottom. If you
Yeah,
go
I saw
go
that.
down there.
Yeah.
I was
Thank
also thinking, like, I know maybe I don't know how realistic this would be. Like, I don't know how well your students would do this, or how like it might be over it might be overworking them a bit, but like if you had kind of how you said you have them assess each other, right? And their um what they've contributed. Is it more specific, or is it a general question that you usually ask them, or is it like specific, like what did they do at each stage of the project?
Oh, it's more general.
Because if you made it more like if you had a list, like of the general process of whatever they're going to be doing, then you could have like, okay, stage one is you need to do all of these things. And then each person will write down either themselves what they did, um, or yeah, I guess that would be the only way. I'm thinking write down either what they did themselves or write what the other person did. Um, and then that way, if you have like the list of everything and what everybody did, that's a kind of like the proof from them. And they can go through and say, no, like you didn't do that, or uh yeah, everything seems right. Everybody did all the things that they said they did. Um, it's kind of linked to that transparency thing, right? Like they are transparent on the work that they did so that later on it's easier for you to grade because you're like, oh, okay, I see this person did this. This person didn't do this part, but they did extra in this part or something like that. Um, but I don't know how that would work. Like the logistics for that. There might have to be like a discussion board, or it might have to be a document that you create that is um, attached to the assignment, and say like, okay, everybody download this document, you know, work on it together, put what you did in, like, as you complete a task on this project, write down what you did, and then it's kind of a way for them to also um, kind of like log what they're doing, which I think there's some value in that as well.
Yeah, documentation is good, is really
Yeah,
good.
usually
Like,
when I'm working on stuff, like we're working on this AI course right now, uh, with I'm working on it with Jeff and James in the Teaching Learning Center, and we have it all. You know, every time we do something, we write down what we did. This. And so it's very
hmm,
clear to us who's contributing to what.
that's awesome.
But
So a good idea is to have everybody. So not just say who was attending at the meetings, but just a brief summary of what occurred at the meeting.
yeah, or like what they did between the meetings. Because if they have stuff that they're supposed to be working on before the meeting so that they can present it and like talk about it at the meeting.
Yeah, have them like specify who did what, right?
Mm,
You
Yeah,
know,
in IT, they have to be able to do technical writing, so they have to document every step they take, and then put it into terms that anybody could understand.
mm,
So I'm kind of lucky in that sense because they can utilize that as part of what they did in the group. The same type of writing. Because usually they're either looking for a security flaw or they're trying to exploit a security flaw. You know,
mm,
um, and they need to document what they're doing through every step. And so, as a team, I can see who's contributing to what part of the attack or who's contributing to what part of the defense. It might be
mm,
somebody's responsible for the intrusion prevention system, somebody else is responsible for the firewall rules, somebody else is responsible for the malware, and then they document what they did, and then I have them document their communications. What are
mm.
they sharing with each other?
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. And I like that too, because that's also some, you know, I was at the um student no faculty senate meeting yesterday, and um uh who was it? Christian Mahoney was coming in, and she presented about, you know, kind of where we're headed with these CWLOs, and was, you know, they're talk, you know, everything's still up in the air and everything's still, you
Yeah.
know,
I
working on
I was there. I was late,
getting
but I was
decided.
there.
But yeah, you were there. You when she was mentioning about how if you they were going to take out these requirements for these extra classes and then implementing what they would be doing in those classes in your classes, this would
Yeah.
be an opportunity where you're saying the technical writing. I feel like the
Yep.
technical writing would count as, you know,
Right.
a writing class or something like
Right. Right.
that.
Yep.
So I don't know. Sit on it, Poppy. Like, you know, I don't know who just said it, whether it was Kelly or Derek, but like it inspired me also to think about if you had like if they're going to these weekly meetings, like they have to set up a weekly meeting, and you have them like documenting who's there, you could make a document template where it said um, uh, who contributed to what before the meeting, and then that'll be like one table or box or section, and then the next section will be who contributed to what during the meeting, and then who will do the next thing before the next meeting. So you just separate it into those three sections, and then everybody writes their name and then what they did, and then that way it's like very clear and easy for them to follow. And then later on, so the tricky part is the grading, right? So it's like, are you going to give them a group grade or are you going to give them an individual? I'm thinking if there's a way to do both, like maybe you'll have the group project will be one thing, right? That'll be one assignment where everybody from the group gets a grade, but then you also have individual assignments for each person. It's the same project, but it's a different submission where they write out what they did and how they contributed to the project. And
I
then
kind of do that. I do like every week a progress report kind of thing. So
Like
that's,
meeting minutes yeah, like the students would do like meeting minutes and submit that, and then you do a progress report off of what they do.
yeah, yeah. And each person has to submit their own, but the whole project, and how I grade the final group project is, I put in there each person's part, and so, you're basically, it's like, did you do your part?
oh, did you do your part of the project?
Each person has to present their part. And,
Yeah.
So instead of listing the 4 different parts, I don't know, because I try not to what am I looking for? I try not to hurt,
Penalize.
penalize those that did their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Their group project isn't going to turn out as well if somebody doesn't.
Yes.
So how do so I try to do it so that those that worked on it can get a good grade, even though the group project wasn't that.
Yeah, but then also that's a way to do it, but then it really discourages, like it more encourages them just doing on their own. Like it doesn't matter. The final product doesn't really matter as long as they did their part. But I feel like the purpose of a group assignment, obviously in addition to working with other people, is for an evaluation of the final product. So it sounds like you got the solo situation handled.
I
But
tried, yeah.
if you had two where it's like, and you can make it like 75% of the grade is your individual contributions, but 25% is the
How it came out
project.
as a group.
Yeah, how like the final product,
Yeah.
which
Yeah. Then I end up getting people that,
are like, why did this person didn't do
then
anything?
they end up doing all the work so that it gets done and looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, group projects are tricky. Um, yeah, let's talk about that. We can talk about that more as we get through
I didn't
this
mean to
section. But
devalue today, but
no. It's okay. We're kind of free flowing, talking about anything. But that is a good thing, and let's bring it up again in future weeks because yeah, I love a good group project.
so can I, if I redo the group project that I'm thinking about,
Yeah.
I have a couple of them, but can I submit that as points for this class?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay,
That's it. This course is all about. Taking what we talk about and
do
implementing it,
something.
adjusting stuff with it. So, okay. So let's see. We've got 5 minutes left. Let me see if there's something that we can quickly talk about in 5 minutes. Otherwise, I mean, actually, no, I don't want to try to shoehorn something in. Is there anything else that y'all want to talk about related to assessments?
Today I had my students doing a task, and I walked them through it. I did it, they did it. They all were logged into their virtual machine following me. and I had them open up. There's a tool called Visio, and
Mhm.
it said you can use it to draw network maps. Well, I started them on it today, and it was fun because I had students going, "Oh my gosh, I've seen this used in industry," and I said, "Exactly, that's why that's why we're doing it." And they ran with it. They had so much fun with it for like,
Mm.
the last half of class, getting to build that. And then I jumped over to the syllabus and I said, look at, look at outcome number 4. We just hit that outcome today. Check that off. But we're going to hit it even more in different ways. But
Mm.
they thought it was the coolest thing because I always try to tie everything back to industry. Everything. This is why you're doing it, and this is the point.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at, what tools or strategies do you use to determine if your assessments map back to align with one or more course outcomes. Mine are kind of sneaky because they're hidden, but they're there. My students, I'm telling you, and I have test anxiety. I've had it my whole life. Most of my students do. So when I give them a test, I don't label it a test. I don't label it any. I don't. It's a project.
Call it
It's
an
something
assessment.
fun
They
to
don't know
do.
what
Right. And I tell them it's a project and we're gonna have fun with it. When they get done and they go, wait a minute, that was our final. Yep, that was our final. You're done. You did a great job.
You could
It's
always call something an activity. Like we're gonna
yes.
do this activity, and activity works for anything.
That's awesome. And they love it. They just like, thank you so much. I get emails from them. Thank you for handling the course that way. It made things more fun for me, less stressful.
Yeah,
So, I try to be sneaky about it and but I still use those are my strategies, to hit those outcomes
that's
and make
good.
sure they map.
That's good. That's good. Making the assessments kind of Trojan horse in them with the assessment.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, just like a pop quiz asking questions about something, that's a formative assessment. That's giving you information about what your students know. And
We do it
so,
every day at the beginning of class and they have no idea they're doing it because we're just talking. And I just check it off. They get their points, and then they go, "Oh my gosh, we did that! Yep, you did it. You guys are
I
doing just
like that.
fine."
I like that. You're focusing on the what they need to learn as opposed
Right.
to how to I
I
mean
love.
you're getting the students more focused on. They're like, a lot of times when the student, okay, I got to get this assignment done because I got to get the
Mhm.
grade. Got to get a good grade so I can get past the thing. Like it's very grade focused and
Right.
like got to get the points. But it sounds like the way that you have it structured is
It's got
more
to
on
be
the
fun.
activity.
And industry, like we do a lot of research. They stay on top of IT security and what's happening in the world,
Nice.
and we can tie projects, activities right back to those and let them see them, and they feel good because they're doing something towards that goal.
Yeah.
Most of the kids that come to us, to my program, I mean, truthfully, they want to be hackers. That's what they want, but they don't know what that means. And then when they take ethical hacking and they go, well, what the heck is that? And I said, well, that's a way for you to protect your network ethically without having to break a law, without having to do something bad. You're testing it, right?
Hmm.
And it's called penetration testing, by the way. And they get all excited, but they realize it's the whole defensive posture. And out in the real world, if this particular healthcare company would have taken a defensive posture, my records wouldn't have gotten stolen, right? You know what I mean? They
Right.
didn't. They didn't. They're not proactive. They're reactive. And
Mm.
so, and that's another objective is to be proactive. So we do things to be proactive. It's fun.
Yeah, it sounds good. And I want to hear more details about these assessments as we progress through the final part of this course. So
Sure.
I know you're a very busy man, but if any time that you can come and share, because it sounds like you're having a lot of successes. And I think this space is for us to have questions, wonder about things, show off what we're doing, show off what we're working on so that we can inspire
And share
everybody
it.
else. So
Share it.
Share it.
One of the first classes I took when I first started teaching at Clover Park 20 years ago, 21 years ago. It was like the new faculty course, and this guy walks in and he writes on the whiteboard the word case, CASE, from top to bottom. And everybody's looking at each other like, what the hell is that? Case. And then he goes, okay, this is the first thing you need to know to be a good teacher. Copy and steal everything. And I was like, holy cow. And then we spent days going over, learning from each other. But copy and steal everything is the first thing I was taught. So if I see a faculty member that I really like what they're doing, I'm gonna case it.
That's right. Case the joint. All right,
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good acronym to end on. We're at the hour, so I know y'all got other stuff to work on. Thank you all for coming here and participating in the conversation, and I hope to see y'all next week.
Right on. Thank you.
You.
Goodbye.
Thanks.